Hi everyone, welcome back to Asian Chinese Philosophy and Life. Today, we move from understanding the I Ching to actually using it. We will learn how to consult the I Ching by forming a hexagram, identifying the changing line, and interpreting the answer. Every day, all of us has questions. Sometimes they are small questions, sometimes they are life-changing questions. I still remember when I was a child, before important exams, I would sometimes make little deals with heaven. Looking back, it sounds a little funny, but I think it also shows something very human. Deep inside, we all want to find a way to face uncertainty. We want to know what may happen, whether this is the right time, or what decision we should make. For more than 2,000 years, people in the Chinese tradition have used the I Ching to face uncertainty. Choose the right timing, make decisions, and look for direction. So in this video, we will follow this ancient way of thinking and learn from how earlier Chinese people consulted the I Ching. Traditionally, there are several ways to perform or to form a hexagram. Today, we will first look at a simplified yarrow-stalk method, inspired by Takeshama Korman, a famous Japanese businessman and master of I Ching divination during the Ming-zhi period. The traditional Chinese yarrow-stalk method is quite complicated. It usually takes 20 to 30 minutes, so for beginners, this simplified method is easier to follow. First, prepare 50 sticks. Take one stick out and set it aside. Now you have 49 sticks. Then prepare your question. This should be something you truly care about, but don't yet have a clear answer to it. The question should be sincere, specific, and important to you. Next, you hold the 49 sticks with both hands. Calm your mind. You may think of this moment as asking heaven, speaking to the universe, or entering a quiet dialogue with a deeper pattern of change. After finishing your question, pause for a moment, hold your breath gently, and divide the sticks into two groups. If you are male, check the sticks in your left hand. If you are female, check the sticks in your right hand. Group the sticks into groups of 8 and write down the remaining number, which should be a number between 1 and 8. This number gives us the inner trigram. Then put all 49 sticks back together and repeat the same process. Ask your question, hold your breath, and divide the sticks into two groups. But this time, use the opposite hand. For man, now the right hand. For woman, the left hand. Again, group the sticks into groups of 8 and write down the remaining number. This gives us the outer trigram. Finally, we need to find the changing line. Repeat the same process one more time. Ask your question, hold your breath, and divide the sticks into two groups. As for the first time, for man, this time left hand, woman, right hand. But this time group the sticks into groups of 6 and write down the remaining number. This number gives us the changing line. Once we have these three numbers, we can start to check the table and identify the hexagram. For example, if we have 773 as our results, then we go to this table and follow the inner trigram 7 and outer trigram 7, which gives us the hexagram 30, Li, the hexagram of fire. The third line tells us the changing line. It is a yang line, so we change that to an yin line, which gives us the hexagram 21, biting through. Now we have everything we need, the original hexagram, the changing line, and the future hexagram. And from there, we can begin the real work, interpreting the hexagram. In the following videos, we will learn how to interpret the 64 hexagram one by one. But for now, let's go to another very popular way to perform a hexagram, the 3-coin method. You only need 3 coins, a piece of paper and pen, and your question. First, calm your mind and prepare your question. Again, the question should be sincere, specific, and important to you. Then hold the 3 coins in your hands. You can think quiet about your question or say it in your heart. When you are ready, toss the 3 coins. Each coin gives us a number. Traditionally, we count a head as 3 and a tail as 2. After tossing the 3 coins, add the numbers together. The results will always be 6, 7, 8, or 9. For example, 3 heads gives us 9, and 3 tails gives us 6. So toss the 3 coins 6 times, we will have 6 numbers to build the hexagram. Here, the most important thing to remember is that we built the hexagram from bottom upward. 6 means an older yin, so that's the changing yin, and 9 is the older yang, so that's the changing yang. 7 and 8 are yang and yin, but they are not changing at all. So what that means, for example, if we have these numbers, we build the hexagram bottom upward. 7 is a yang line, 8 is yin, 9 and 7 are yang lines, 8 yin, 7 is yang. So now we have the original hexagram. If there are no changing lines, that means no 6 or 9s, then we mainly read the judgment and image of this hexagram itself. But here we have 1 9, and 9 means changing yang. So to get the future hexagram, we need to change that yang line into a yin line. In this example, we only have 1 changing line, but sometimes we may have several changing lines. To find the future hexagram, we take the original hexagram and reverse all the changing lines. The second hexagram is often called the future hexagram, or sometimes the relating hexagram. It usually shows where the situation may be moving, or what kind of change is beginning to unfold. In the simplified yarrow-stalk method, we only have 1 changing line all the time, but in the traditional yarrow-stalk method and the 3-coin method, we may have up to 6 changing lines, and different numbers of changing lines are read in different ways. If there are no changing lines, we mainly read the judgment of the original hexagram. This means the situation is relatively stable, so we focus on the overall meaning of the present condition. If there is 1 changing line, we mainly read that 1-line statement in the original hexagram. That line is the key point of the whole reading. If there are 2 changing lines, we read both the changing line statements in the original hexagram, but traditionally the higher line is often given more weight because it represents a later stage in the development of the situation. If there are 3 changing lines, the change is already quite strong, so we read both the original and the future hexagram. The original hexagram shows where we are now, and the future hexagram shows where the situation may be going. If we have 4 changing lines, most of the hexagram is already changing, so instead of focusing on what is moving, we look at the 2 lines that don't change in the future hexagram. These stable lines may show what remains important during the change. If there are 5 changing lines, almost everything is changing, so we focus on the only line that doesn't change in the future hexagram. That one stable line becomes the core message. If all 6 lines are changing, then the whole hexagram is transforming. For qian, we read using the 9s, and for kun, we read using the 6. For other hexagrams, we usually focus more on the future hexagram because the original situation has almost completely changed. So a simple way to remember this is when there are only a few changing lines, we look at what is changing, but when there are many changing lines, we look at what remains stable. Finally, besides the yarrow-stalk method and the 3-coin method, there is another famous way to consult the I Ching. It is called Meihua Yishu, or Plum Blossom Numerology, traditionally associated with the Song Dynasty thinker Shao Yun. This method is especially interesting because it can form a hexagram from almost everything. Its basic idea is that everything can be understood through number and image. A moment, a sound, a direction, a time, or even a sudden event can all become a number or numbers. Then we can convert those numbers based on the early heaven bagua to a hexagram. For example, 乾、兑、离、震、巽、坎、艮、坤 are the number from 1 to 8. As we already explained earlier, this follows exactly the 3-byte binary system. So unlike the coin method or the yarrow-stalk method, this method doesn't always require physical tools. You can form a hexagram from time, date, or any numbers you can get from the response or sudden sign appearing at the moment of the question. For example, you may use the year, month, day, and hour to calculate the upper trigram, the lower trigram, and the changing line. Or you may use a number that suddenly appears, the number of objects you see, the direction of the sun, or another meaningful event or number in that moment. So overall, now we have 3 methods to form a hexagram: the simplified yarrow-stalk method, the 3-coin method, or the Meihua Yishu. But the core idea is the same, getting 3 numbers, 1 for the inner trigram, 1 for the outer trigram, and 1 for the changing line. By consulting the I Ching, we found a way to connect the random divination moment with a question in our mind, so that we may have a glimpse of the hidden connections and changing patterns of the universe. Through the hexagram, chance becomes image, image becomes reflection, and reflection may become guidance. To prepare for interpreting the hexagrams, I have summarized and compared several important books, including the I Ching or Book of Changes, translated by Richard Wilhelm and rendered into English by Carrie Bennis, Takeshama Ekiden or Gaodao Yiduan, a famous Japanese interpretation of the I Ching, and many other Chinese books on the I Ching, hexagram interpretation, and traditional divination. So in the next videos, we will begin interpreting the 64 hexagrams one by one. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and continue exploring the I Ching with me. I will see you in the next video.